So going into our After Effects course, you should be able to go to, let me go to student view, and you should be able to go to week 1 shape animation show opening, and then you can look at the assignment is here, shape animation. But before I get to the assignment, we were looking at examples last. Um, and there's the my motion graphics playlist that you can click on and see on YouTube lots of examples of what motion graphics are. For this assignment, we're going to be talking about creating an animation using shapes and thinking about how to create like a template for a show opening. So I have some really nice examples of show openings here that I'd like to look at. I also want to look at the assignment to talk about what that's going to be. So if we go back, because right now we're looking at a page, so we're in pages. If we go back to home, or we can go to modules to see the module again, because on home, all of these under the Google Drive link, all of these are the modules for the course. You could also get to them by going to modules directly, and then notice within the module you will have these different icons for these different types of items. So this icon represents, it looks like a paper with a pencil. That's an assignment icon. So this will tell you what the assignment is. And this icon that looks like a page with writing is like a page, like a web page within a website, a page. And this icon that's like a paperclip is just an attached file. So that's where you go to see the lesson information that I'm going to be covering to go along with what you're going to do for the assignment. I'm going to be going through this lesson.
Abby, I
So,
had a question.
uh-huh.
Um, what's the best way to get to these modules? What's the easiest, quickest way to get
Well,
to the course?
probably the quickest way is just when you log in, you're gonna already be on the home page, and then this here is the list of modules links. So we're on week 1, so you just click right on week 1, and then you get to the module for week 1.
When I log into it, what's it called again? What's the name of what's it called?
The
The
Canvas to
Canvas. Okay.
Canvas, you just log into abcadultschool.instructure.com.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Thank you.
You're welcome. Glad to have you in, Bruce. I'm gonna all to remember to sign you in. Make sure you put your name in the chat as a reminder and like the
Okay.
time that you came in.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, so all right. So, what are we doing? We're making a shape animation that could also function as a show opening. So that's the assignment. If I click on that, there it will have some basic criteria for the assignment. Last night I realized I forgot part of the assignment is to create a custom workspace, but I made that into extra credit for you, so you get 10 points of extra credit on top of your regular credit for doing the assignment if you create a custom workspace and you create a screenshot. I meant to put in the instructions about creating a screenshot, so I'll add those later, but I'll demonstrate how to do that. So you'll be turning in for the assignment. You'll click on submit assignment up here when you're done with the assignment by the end of the week. You're going to be making a movie file, and then you'll just click submit assignment and you'll attach that file there. But we're not going to worry about that right now because we're not there yet. So I'm going to just go back. You could also go to the assignments by clicking on the assignments item. I'll just click leave here. Click on assignments, and then you can just, am I in student view? Let me check. Oh, I'm not in student view. Let me go back to home. No, I am in student view. Okay, so you could also click on assignments here, And then it's going to tell you upcoming assignments. So there's the shape animation show opening assignment there that's upcoming. It tells you when the assignments are due. So the goal is January 29th. Of course, we were having some technical difficulties yesterday. So I'm not going to dock you points for turning it in late, but that's the goal, to get it in at the end of the week. So the full instructions are going to be in this PDF right here that's attached, that's on top. If you click on that, that gives you all the complete instructions. These are just the basic criteria that you get certain amounts of points for, and then the extra credit. But if you click on the PDF, then you can download the PDF instructions. You can view the preview. Now we're in files. Files is where you go if you want to download files for the course. So I went through all that yesterday, so I'm not going to repeat that yet. That's in the yesterday's video. I'm going to go to on the computer. I clicked on Finder to get to where I've already stored some files for this class in a folder that I've created for this class. So I'm just going to open up some things that I want to look at for today. So I want to look at, for example, I want to look at the AE lesson 1 and 2, which is in the lesson handouts folder, which you can find also if you click on files from Canvas. That's where you can go to download files or folders. You can download them from files and store them in your folder for the class. Remember, if you want a whole folder, you can hover over the folder and then you'll see the little dot on the end. You can click download. Okay, so that's what I did yesterday. So that's why I have a folder called lesson handouts, and I'm going to open up lesson 1 and 2 to look at, to make sure we cover everything from there. And then, so that's information about After Effects that we'll look at. And then the assignment itself that we need to do for this week is the shape animation show opening instructions. So I'm going to open that up, and let's take a look at what our assignment is. So it's to create an animation using shape that will also function as could also function as a show opening. So assignment goal: primarily using shape tools in After Effects, create an animation that could be used as a non-specific show opening template that could later be geared for a specific show. So I have examples I'd like to show you, and I want you to, for this assignment, I want you to refrain from wanting to use media for this week. Next week, you're going to have the opportunity to use media. When I say media, does anyone know what I'm talking about? When I say media, what's an example of media?
The internet, social media, Facebook or whatever.
Okay, that's definitely something that will pop up into your mind. It's and definitely correct. But when I'm talking about media in terms of using creating something in After Effects, I'm specifically talking about pictures, like photographs, video files, video clips, like, you know, anything that you download or something that maybe you shoot with your video camera, your phone, and audio files or music. So all of that, I think we're the only thing that we might be able to get to this week is generating some music for this. But other than that, we're just going to use the tools built into After Effects to create shapes and animate those shapes. And so you might say, well, what kind of show opening only has like the shapes? Well, it's just going to be the background for a show opening. Then next week you can come up with a more specific show that you want to frame around. So I'm going to show you examples from going back into our module. So I went to modules. In examples, I want to show you some examples of some really strong show openings. That one that Wei Xing created. Actually, Wei Xing created two really strong show openings when we were working in the studio here. The when our school was open, and we had a live video studio, and Wei Xing really stepped up to the plate and put her After Effects skills to great use and created a show opening for comedy, which I'll show first, and then a show opening for news. And then Sunhee also really stepped up and put in her After Effects skills. She's also taken the class before, and she and I collaborated and created a show opening for our talk show, and that Janika, who's also here, stepped up and had a starring role in. So I'm going to show you some of those. Then I have these links to like some famous shows like Ellen, and there's a comedy show opener that's kind of like a template. And then there's 5 intro templates that are kind of along the lines of what I'd like you to create yourself. At the link here, they actually give you the free templates so you can use them. That some other design other motion graphics artists created. So please do not use the templates for this assignment because that would be cheating. But look at them for inspiration and for ideas so that you can create your own. So I'm going to show what Wei Xing did for our comedy. So this is for our Chuck and Mandy show. And already just in the first frame you can see that there are, do you see shapes here? Any shapes? Colors?
Like the stars.
There's like it looks like this would be like some kind of polygon maybe. There's some shapes that are filled, shapes that are just strokes, outlines, like a triangle here, another outline shape. There's a really nice looking backdrop rectangle that's transparent. And then we have media that it's framing. So we have photographs of the stars of the show. So for this week, don't worry about media, don't worry about photographs, don't worry about making the show specific. Just think about the shapes themselves, and then how you might next week add media to it to make it more specific. I'm going to play this so you get a So really clever and cool, right? Thank you, Wei Xing, for that. That was awesome. Just can't get enough of, like, I could just watch that all day long. Wei Xing, do you have any words to share about how you got the ideas for some of these, or any, like, does anyone have any questions for Wei Xing about how she did this? She's had a lot. She's taken a few of these classes, so don't be intimidated. People take my classes and they come back and to support me so that I can stay employed and just to continue their own work. So people are here in this class at all different levels, and those who are here who've had a lot of experience I really appreciate you being here, because you can really inspire everyone on where everyone can be very soon. So I like this idea, the loading idea. That's interesting. So did you create all these shapes? These are all shapes that you created, right, Wei Xing?
Yes, use repeater.
Oh, you used repeater, yeah. So that's one of the features that we're going to look at in shape animation and using what's called the add button. That's one of our requirements for this assignment. So we'll see how she did that. That's really cool. So how the repeater worked to make it easy to animate a repeat of all of these shapes coming in. Really cool.
Did she do all this in After Effects, or did she use like Illustrator to design some of it?
That's a good question. Wishing, what did could you would you answer that, Wishing? You can
I
ask her
use
directly.
everything in After Effects.
Yeah, so all of this was generated by the tools in After Effects. So that's what we're going to learn, all of this today. Well, not maybe not all of it, cuz some of the like the text stuff we're probably not going to get to today. Like she has like this is a special effect that I'm going to teach you called the stroke effect, where the text is drawn in like this. But don't worry about text. For this assignment, just think about the shapes. What we can do with shapes. So these are shapes coming in, moving in, big rectangles of color. And then all the dots done with the repeat effect too? The repeat. You remember? Wei-Shi?
Yes, I think so.
Repeat, yeah. Sometimes you do things and then it's like she's done this a long time ago, so I don't expect you to remember all the secrets, and I appreciate you sharing with us your secrets on how you created this. But you see shapes for the names. So if I might get to text this week. We'll see. You could start to think about the name of your show, but next week is going to be to make the show more specific. But think about just the shapes that you can animate in, and like you might want to put in a rectangle as a placeholder for where text might appear, to be a nice backdrop for text. So that's what she was doing there, and then just moving things in. I love that bouncy effect that you did with that text. Do you mind sharing what was that? What did you do to make that text just bounce in like that?
I think I just used I think skill and
was it on the ease and whiz
and also I add the expression.
Yeah. With ease and whiz, or a different expression?
It's a skill and
skew from ease and whiz, or a different thing? That was like an effect.
Rotate and skill, and also add expression.
Nice. Yeah, so that's a little bit more advanced, how she got that bouncy effect that we're going to get to later in the course. So don't worry about that for now. But it's something to get inspired by and say, well, I want to learn how to do that. We'll definitely learn how to do that. That kind of motion. So that is very cool. Thank you for that, Wishing. And then also we have another example of Wei-Xing's work for our news show that we did live in our TV studio here at our school. Let me see. Let's get to the news.
My name is Laisha. We welcome you to ABC.
So that all that you need to really watch is the intro. She also has an outro that matches. If you go to the end, you can watch the whole thing if you want, but I'm just gonna show the ending. But the whole thing is what we did live in our news show. So some of this though is a like template that Wei-Xing found in. This was found from Premiere, right? Because they had some that were already made. Like this one's already made. But what Wei-Xing did...
I can't hear you that good.
Oh, can you hear me now?
You went down.
Oh, no. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you. It's just low, and I have it on the highest volume.
Oh, my goodness. Not again. Let's see. So, let me just check my Zoom settings here. test.
Did you lower anything when you were playing the video?
Oh, maybe that's what I did. Okay, is it better now? Can you hear me now? Better? Hello? Hello? Can you hear me now? I raised my volume all the way. Tabitha? Are you there? Oh, I can't hear Tabitha now. Are you there, Tabitha? Anyway, then there's an ending that let me just play that. Okay, so you got some shapes going on here, lots of shapes. The circling effect, we'll look at that, how you can animate stroke and make the dial look like, you know, the sun, and these types of effects can be made with transitions too, so we'll look at how to do all of that with shapes. Going back to, let's see, an example of a talk show opening. This one was done with Sunhee. Let's see, and Janika was the star. One of our stars here. Let me. Okay, let me go and do that again, full screen, and get the.
And nice work, everyone. So everything looks so nice. I'm excited.
Thank you. Okay, so you see how these types of shapes, or they could be done with like transparent shapes going over the images. Later on, we'll learn about masking video. So I think I created this with like masks, but we're gonna learn about masking a little later probably. And then we've got the little logo down there, the Amanda Janika Show. You see, this type of text you're going to learn how to create if you come back for the next After Effects where we're working in 3D, because this After Effects is going to be 2D animation. This text is done in 3D, so hold off on the 3D stuff until next quarter when you come back. Hopefully you come back. We want you to come back. Okay, so can you guys hear me? So this shape is also a 3D shape at the end coming up. Okay, so that's our talk show opening. Now let's take a look at one of the established, out there, famous talk shows, Ellen. So I'm going to open up Ellen. This is okay, I'm going to just play this Ellen show. Whoops. This is not Ellen. Okay, here's Ellen. Sorry the quality isn't so good on this. Let me see if I can increase the quality better. And then play. So this is Ellen's show. Oh, I guess this is part of it. Okay, so what do we see here? We see lots of different shapes coming in along with Ellen's logo and pictures of Ellen, or video images. That's media, so don't worry about media. You see, there's like these graphics and framing the clips of video. It looks like the clip of video is on an easel, so that's a little fancy, but that all can be done in After Effects. This looks like 3D text and lots of shapes coming in the background and lighting effects. And they made it turn into an 11. So that is that, and then let me go to a comedy show opener. This is more.
Nabi, your voice fading away.
Oh no. Okay, can you hear me?
You still fading.
Let me explain about Zoom because my job had this issue. It can't compete with two different volumes, so one has to give. So once one volume is down, then her mic comes back up. But again, and also everybody, like I see some people's they're not muted, so that also takes away from the sound. So it's not just her. It's how Zoom is. It can't compete with two different volumes. It's one is going to overrule the other, and one's going if the video is on, then it lowers her. So once the video is over, then she comes up.
Okay.
So it's not her.
Thank you for that. I see what I need to do now. Thank you. I appreciate that. So I see that when I play a video, then my volume goes down. So I need to just keep raising my volume from my little sound here. I don't remember that happening at home though, which is weird. Okay, so
yeah, and also like if some people's if they're not muted, it also takes away. So it's not you. It's just the way Zoom is. It can't compete with two different sounds.
Yeah,
it's like so
that's what's happening.
Once you so if you're playing this video, you're gonna go low. The video's gonna go high because it's gonna.
Make sure
Yeah, so
my wire so you can plug this.
It's a juggling act. It's a juggling act. So let me
Oh look, I want you to plug into the TV.
Okay. You can hear me now though, right?
Yeah, I hear background noise.
Yeah, there's someone talking. Let's make sure you mute yourself if you're talking if you're gonna have talking. Okay, I'm gonna play this video now. This is also one of your examples. Let me just play it. It's just something I found on YouTube of a show opening for a comedy show. I put the volume down on it so I could talk. So this is just like graphics, shapes coming in. Some of these are 3D. Don't worry about making 3D graphics. I just wanted something to give you an idea of something that's purely like a template for a show that's just shapes animated in space. So just to get you guys thinking of ideas as you are animating and thinking about how that could relate to creating a show opening. Just keep my volume up here. Okay, so then going back into our examples page, one more here. The top five that has, these are templates.
This is Webflow. Meet the design tool from
Sorry about the ad.
the future. The most powerful visual code.
Skip, okay. So, okay, so these are 2D. And it's a top 5. So this is number 1. That just shows you little examples of things. So this kind of stuff is what we're going to be working towards creating for this week, is with shapes. Just shape design. Animating shapes. And these could be used as part of a show opening for a television show or web series. So just notice the motion of shapes and colors. This is number 3 on the countdown. So notice all the different shapes that you see. Shapes that come in, backdrops that come in. Notice how one transitions into the next. And finally, number 5. Okay, so that's just kind of what's out there, what's trending. I'm gonna close this. Uh-oh. God.
Yeah, I like that. That's like for YouTube and stuff. Like for a
Yeah.
YouTube channel.
So, yeah, so that's what we're gonna be. We're gonna be working towards creating something like that. Set up professional audio and audio settings. Okay, so let's just dive right in. So I'm gonna go into After Effects, and I was messing with the workspace because I was preparing to show you how to make your own workspace. So I'm gonna just go to the default workspace right now. So when you launch After Effects, you should be in the default workspace. Let me see. Uh-oh, my volume went down again, huh? Okay, so my volume's up. Okay, you guys can hear me, right? Okay, so I'm gonna just so here's the default workspace. Now notice there's a toolbar on top, and there are various workspace options on top. So I'm on default. I could switch into standard, and then that'll create a whole different layout of panels. And it's your choice what you feel comfortable working in. In the default workspace, we'll have the project panel appearing on the left here. The project panel will store various assets like if you're going to be creating compositions to work within your project, those are going to be listed here in the project panel. Next week, when you start working with media, you're going to learn how to import media like audio clips and video clips and images right into your project, and they will be listed in your project panel. Down here is your timeline where you assemble your work and create animation. Yes?
I'm sorry, but are you recording this now?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Let me...
And Nabi, I had a question too.
Uh-huh.
So I see this have a timeline just like Premiere and everything. So do you create everything in here and then you save this and then you import this into Premiere in the beginning of your project or in within your project as far as the graphics is concerned? Is that how that works?
So if you want to work with back and forth between After Effects and Premiere, that's a whole topic in itself. But yes, the answer is yes. You can import After Effects projects into Premiere, and then you can choose compositions that will go into Premiere, and vice versa. You can import Premiere projects into After Effects. You can be working in Premiere on a clip, for example, and then you could be editing in Premiere, and then you find a clip that you want to put an effect on that only After Effects can do. Then you can right click on that clip and send it to After Effects, and then it will create an After Effects project and composition around that clip. So there's amazing stuff you can do working back and forth between Premiere and After Effects.
So I have one more question. Can you do everything you can do in Premiere in After Effects? Can I edit in here?
You can edit in After Effects, but Premiere's strength is editing. So trying to do editing of a long project in After Effects can be really clunky and awkward. Because with After Effects, it's built on you're working with layers. Everything's in layers in After Effects. So you can't just have all your clips assembled on one track like you can in Premiere. And then in After Effects, everything's going to create very long vertical space. So it's going to be very difficult it becomes difficult when you're trying to edit a very long piece in After Effects. It's much better to do all your editing in Premiere, and then all your special effects and animation, reserve a lot of that for After Effects, because After Effects' strength is really in special effects and animation. But having said that, you can create a complete video from start to finish all in After Effects. After Effects is just better for shorter works, not like a 2-hour feature length movie.
Okay, I understand. Okay, thank you for clearing that up.
Nadia, I guess the hint is After Effects is something that you do after you do basically everything else, right?
Right, hence the name After Effects. Is it's like the After Effects is like the icing on the cake. You bake the cake in Premiere, and then you put all the icing on after it's baked. That's the general workflow. But there are plenty of projects that you can create all in After Effects without having, without using Premiere at all, which is what we're going to be doing in this class, is creating short animated works that are completely done just with After Effects.
And Nabi, I have a question. Like I've used, I guess this is similar to something like the Spark, Adobe Spark. But it already animates it for you pretty much. But with this, you can create a transparent background with your effects and then layer it over in Premiere. I've done that with Adobe Spark. But can you do that with this? Like you can create basically a transparent, say with all the shapes, and then you just overlap it if you want it on a certain part of your video.
That's an adjustment layer. And yes, that can be done in After Effects and Premiere and Photoshop. I believe that's what you're talking about. Like an empty container that can contain effects that you can adjust over certain sections of your work.
Like a transition, or like how they have transitions that are already set. Yes. Even in Premiere, they have transitions that are set.
Oh, like template kind of
You can make your own kind of.
Yeah.
And just intros. Like I've done on my YouTube, I've used Adobe Spark to create like animated text and stuff like that. And overlapped it on a certain part of my video.
Yeah, we're going to be playing with the transitions that come with After Effects. That do create these automatic animations, and with After Effects it's great because you have a lot of control to customize those.
Yeah.
So we'll look at all of that. Let's get to it. Okay, so here we go. So this is like the layout that I'm talking about, the default layout where you have the timeline where you assemble your work. Let me just make sure my audio didn't go down. Okay. And then you have the composition panel where you're seeing what you're creating within the composition panel, which is generally up here in this area. And then there are some additional panels over here on the side. Depending on the workspace layout that you've selected, you're going to have different panels over here on the side, like the info panel. You can click on each one of these and they pop out. Audio to measure your audio levels. Preview to preview, like you could use this to play and stop your video, or just use the space bar to play and stop, and other features here that we'll talk about later in preview, how to preview full screen. Just settings you can change here in the preview panel for previewing. Effects and presets. When we get into effects, you'll be able to search for effects and save presets here. Align panel to align your objects, center them. Libraries, if you use Creative Cloud, I'm going to skip over that right now though. Character panel, paragraph panel for text. And when we get into the next course, after this course, we'll get into doing camera tracking effects, like 3D camera tracker, which is really cool, which works with virtual cameras. So you don't actually need to use a camera to create like beautiful dolly shots. You can use virtual cameras. But we'll get into that in the next course. Okay, so that's the default layout. If I click on standard, then you see that the layout changes a little bit. There are less panels over here in the right column. But there are different preset, like there's a small screen option. But if you go also under window workspace, you can see additional types of workspace layouts, like minimal takes away a lot of the panels. Let me just reset minimal because I changed the minimal workspace. So if I go to window, I can go here to window, and I can go to workspace, and then window workspace, and then reset to the saved layout that it came with. So this is the minimal workspace where it's just the composition showing and the timeline. And there's the toolbars up here with the workspaces that you can choose between. I created my own workspace here that I call Nabby Showcase. This is part of the extra credit. I'm going to go over this. So I can actually delete this workspace. This is my workspace that I just came up with. Let me just go ahead and I'm going to go to workspace and I'm going to, so if you go window workspace, notice that you can make changes to your workspace and you can click save changes to this workspace. You can also go down to the bottom, edit workspaces. I'm gonna see if I can delete the one that I created so I can recreate that. So Nabby Showcase, I'm gonna delete that. Say okay. Okay, so now it's back to default workspace. And I want to, I think, okay, so I want you to just be comfortable with the workspace. So notice how between panels you can hover over the edges between panels or the boundaries between panels, and you'll see the double-sided arrows. You can drag to change the size of the panels, narrow them or widen them. You can go to the top of the timeline, drag that up higher if you want, lower. You can also drag a panel to make it float. Like let's say I wanted the info panel to float. So I can click on info panel. Notice in the default workspace I click on a panel here that's docked on the right side, and then I click on another one, the other panel minimizes. If I want the info panel to just float, I can hover over the name of the info panel, then I can click on the name of info panel and hold command and drag. Holding the command key on a Mac lets you drag a panel out to make it float. If you're on Windows, it would be control. You just control drag the panel so it floats. Now, if I want it to stay floating, I would drag from the top of the panel and move it around. So it's going to stay floating as opposed to being docked somewhere. Now, if I want to dock a panel somewhere, let's say I want to take the align panel and dock it somewhere. So I'm going to grab the align panel and drag it by its name. You see the name on the top. Drag it and I can drop it in. See these these areas that are highlighting, the box in the middle or the trapezoids on the top or the bottom or the sides. I can drop in any one of these drop zones. So I'm going to release here in this is a trapezoid, right? Yeah, trapezoid. And then, and that's a drop zone. So it dropped the align panel on the side of the composition panel. And they're docked. This is docking a panel. So I'm going to drag the align panel out if I want to put it somewhere else. If I want to put it on the other side, I can put it on the other trapezoid drop zone and release. Now it's tabbed. Now it's not tabbed. It's docked next to the composition, and so on and so on. I could put it in the trapezoid on top. Now it's above the composition panel. Drag it down on the bottom trapezoid below, and you get the point. And drag it to the box in the middle. Then what happens? Now the align panel is in front of the composition panel, and they're tabbed together. The align panel is in front. You can see that because it's got an underline on it. If I go back, I can click on composition to bring composition to the front, align to the front. And if I want to make a line float, what do? Hold down on what key?
Command.
Command, that's right. So I'm going to drag it by its name and hold command. That makes it float. Release the mouse, then release the command key, and now it's floating. Until it'll stay floating as long as I'm grabbing it by the top gray bar. If I drag by the name, it'll dock it again in the workspace. I could also dock it on, see this this line that extends the whole entire After Effects. That's another place you can dock something within After Effects. So docking in the drop zones makes the panels kind of all stuck together like this. Another way to float a panel is to click on the little options button and then choose undock panel, and it'll just be a floating panel. You can also close a panel that you don't want by clicking the X once it's floating. You can also, if you don't want a panel up, like let's say I don't want the character panel up because maybe I'm not working with text right now, so I can click on the little options and click close panel. And then if I want to bring a panel back, where do I go? Where are all the panels located in alphabetical order? Under window, that's right. So I can bring back the character panel. So there it's back again. Okay, so hopefully that helps you to feel more comfortable getting around in the workspace. And for extra credit, what I'd like you to do is create a custom workspace for extra credit and then take a screenshot of it. So while I'm messing with workspace, I'll just show you that real quick how you might do that. So and I give specific instructions, so I know that you know what you're doing, that you can like follow those instructions to achieve what the goal is for workspace. So on Canvas on your course, if you go to the assignments and you go into the shape animation, if you want to get the extra credit, you'd follow these instructions about workspace, which is create and save a new custom workspace that shows just the composition panel, the timeline, the info panel, and the toolbar. One of the panels must be floating, and the toolbar must be located at the top default position. And then name the custom workspace your name showcase. So I'll just run through that real quick. How do you do that? Okay, one trick, because it would take forever if you start on a workspace like default to go through and close all the panels. That's a lot of extra work you don't need to do. So here's a trick. You can just go to Window, Workspaces, and then go to Minimal to start with. Unexpected data type, what? That's weird. Okay, now weird stuff is happening. Okay, let me go to a different workspace like Essentials. Okay, why is that happening? Now I've made After Effects confused. Let me try quitting After Effects and restarting it. Otherwise, because there's something going on with After Effects now. Let's see what's going on with After Effects. It looks like it had an issue, so I right clicked it and I chose force quit. Sometimes things like this happen. There was an error, and in most cases I would say also if you get an error like that, it's best to restart the computer, but I don't want to run out of time, so I want to see if things will run smoothly without restarting the whole system. Okay, so I'm gonna close this for now, and I'm gonna go to Window, Workspace, and I'm gonna get out of default and I'm gonna choose Minimal. Okay, so Minimal has the toolbar on top, which is what you want already. It has the composition panel, and it has the timeline. So the instructions say make a workspace with composition, timeline. What am I missing that I need? I just need the info panel. This makes it really simple to do this extra credit. But I recommend kind of really playing around and getting acclimated with the workspace, closing panels, messing things all up, and then, like for example, I can undock the composition panel by command dragging it, and then it floats, and I can do different things like that. And don't worry, because you can mess up. Like I just closed the composition panel. Now all I have is the timeline and the toolbar. if you mess up if you like rearranged a workspace and you're not happy with it and it's kind of, you feel like it's been messed up beyond repair, never fear, don't fret. You can always reset the workspace to the factory settings. If you go to Window Workspace and then you go reset minimal to saved layout, then you're safe. There we go. So now it's back to the saved layout. Back to normal. We're back. It's like when Dorothy clicked her heels together 3 times and said, there's no place like home. Now we're back. Okay, so no worries on that. Then if I go to Window Workspace, what I want to do is follow the instructions. So the instructions say I need the toolbar on top, I need the composition panel, I need the timeline. What else do I need? The info panel. So I don't have the info panel. Where do I go to get it? Window, find it in alphabetical order, info. Boom, it's there. One of the panels need to be floating. You can have any of them float except for the toolbar. The toolbar's got to be up at the top. So I'm going to make the info panel float. I'm just going to hold command and drag, make it float. There. Now to get the credit, I need to make this into a saved custom workspace of my own. So to do that, you go Window, Workspace, and then you go down and choose not save changes to this workspace. That's what you don't want to do, because that's what will change your workspace beyond repair, so you won't be able to reset. That'll ruin the reset feature. So don't save changes to this workspace, which is the minimal workspace. I don't want to mess up minimal. I want minimal to stay as Adobe set it up. So what I want is save as new workspace. That's key. Save as new workspace. I should put a reminder of that in your assignment instructions. So you save as new workspace and you name it your name. I'm just going to say Nabby Showcase. It could be dash, it could be space. Nabby dash Showcase I'm putting there, or hyphen Showcase. I'm going to say okay. Then it comes up here as one of the workspaces I can choose from. I can go back to default and be on the default workspace. I can go to Showcase. So what I want you to do is make a screenshot to turn in to Canvas along with your finished file. And you'll need to do that. You'll need to turn in the screenshot and the finished movie file together, because if you turn in the screenshot first and then you go and turn in the movie file, it overwrites the when you turn in work on Canvas, it overwrites what you previously turned in. So make sure that you have both together and turn them in together. So this, to make the screenshot on a Mac, it's very simple. You just use Command Shift 4 and then you click and drag and just make a screenshot of the workspace showing the floating panel and showing that your workspace is named and highlighted there, that on the top where the toolbar is. And then you submit that to Canvas. So I have the screenshot now made, and I'll do another demo later to submit that along with the movie file to Canvas. So you just store that. I'm going to get it from my desktop. So you can always go to After Effects and hide After Effects, or Command H on a Mac. Let's see, is it going to work? What's going on? After Effects. Hide After Effects. Come on. Okay. And then you can see that when you make a screenshot on a Mac, it goes on the desktop. So you can rename the screenshot. Just name it your last name followed by your first initial dash. You can call it Showcase WS for Workspace. Showcase Workspace. And just then you would just go to Canvas and submit it. But wait till you get your movie file completed. So store that away. If you do that today, while it's fresh, store that somewhere where you can access it later. So I'm going to put it in my folder for the class in here to have it
Abby,
for later.
I have a question. Say you're doing modifying your workspace and you don't like it, you did one step, is there a way to undo it?
Yeah, that's a great question. So let's say I decided, well, I don't want the info panel then, so I want to close it, but I want to edit this workspace and make it without the info panel. So let's see if I can do that. So window, I'm going to go to window, workspace, and then I would go to, oh, then in that case, I would do save changes to this workspace, and I'm perfectly happy doing that on my own workspace. I don't want to do that with one of the preset workspaces because then I'm messing up what Adobe created. So that's the only case I would say save changes to this workspace. And then if I go to another workspace and then I go back to my workspace, it's, well, actually, if I would need to just to verify that's been, that change has been made, I can because I could bring back the info panel. Let's see. If I bring back the info panel and then I go to window, workspace, and then I'm on the Nabby showcase workspace, and then I do reset to saved layout. Because I did save changes to this workspace, it should just be without the info panel. So let's see if I go back to saved, then yeah, so the up-to-date one is without the info panel now. But for the credit for the assignment, you want to have follow those instructions to get your credit. You're welcome. Okay.
Nabby, I have a question about the movie file real fast. I think I missed some of the movie file information. I had some technical difficulties with my computer, and I'm just trying to figure out. I know it's in the assignment, so just go back to the Canva and then the movie file, because I know you were talking about gathering some information, because I'm not clear on the movie file.
Okay,
part.
that's perfect. That's exactly what I'm going to talk about right now. So the movie file is what you do after you see my demonstration and you follow the instructions to create an animation using the shape tool. So that's what we're going to be doing, and I'm glad you bring that up now. So your assignment is, from assignments you can get the assignment here, and I've already stored that assignment on my in my folder, so that I should have it open already in Acrobat. Here it is. So the goal for creating that movie file is to create kind of like a template that could be used for a show opening that doesn't need to be specific at this point. So non-specific show opening. So just think about animating shapes. So what we're going to be doing is, here's getting started. So you're going to I already see a mistake. Sorry. You're going to say, don't worry about documentary, or that's a mistake. Just make sure that you save all your files in your folder for the class. That's what this sentence should say. What you're going to do is you're going to open your Adobe After Effects and save your After Effects project file as, which I have After Effects open now, and I've switched to the default workspace because I like working there in that, or standard works too. And I'm going to save this because the After Effects file has not been saved yet. So you're not going to turn in the After Effects file. You're going to wait until you create the project in a composition, and then you're going to render the movie file as a movie file to turn in the end. So right now we're just saving the After Effects project. So you go File, and then you can do Save As, choose Save As, and then you're going to name it according to the assignment instructions, which say to name it your last name, first initial, dash, shape animation, WIP. Think about this for this week. It's just a work in progress. Nothing to get, super stressed out about. It doesn't need to be Academy Award winning just yet, because you're going to get to finalize it in later weeks to come. Okay, so your name, last name, first initial, dash, shape, animation, WIP for work in progress. And that's going to go on where you are storing things for the class. So I had said documentary because I was in the mode of that we were all in class together, but now you're saving on your own folder for this class in your home, obviously, on your computer. So there's my folder for the class. I'm just going to save there, and it's going to save. And what it did, I'm going to go to Finder just to show you what it saved. So it should have saved an After Effects project file. So this is an empty After Effects project file. This is the icon. That's what it looks like. This is what's open in After Effects right now. This is like the container within After Effects where you build your project. Okay, next. What we're going to do next is we're going to start designing. So we're going to be, oh wait, I skipped over one thing that's very important to do next, which is create a new composition. Use these settings, the high definition TV settings, 1080, the 1080 preset, as if your destination for showing this could include not only YouTube, but it could also display on standard high definition television sets built in the United States. In the AE lesson 1 and 2, there's all kinds of information here about the history of television. If you scroll down to digital video basics, you'll see the different information about what those different standards are that you have to choose from when you create a new composition, and all about all those settings here when you create a new composition are in digital video basics. But I want to get right to it, so I'll just refer to that. You can use that as a reference. But what we're going to be doing is we're going to create a new composition, and that's where you build your work along the timeline, is within a composition. And you can have multiple compositions. They can be nested together. That's what we'll learn later on. Right now, let's focus on just making one composition and working within that composition. So to create a new composition, you can use Command N if you're on a Mac, or Control N if you're on Windows, or you can go Composition and click New Composition. And this is where you set things up for your, the destination of where you want to show your work. So, and then so first you're going to name it. So I give you instructions in your assignment on how to name it. So you're going to name it the same name as what your whole project file, the whole project file is called. The whole After Effects project is going to be named the same as this composition in this case. So last name, first initial, shape, animation, WIP. That just keeps it simple. So last name, first initial, dash, shape, animation, WIP. I put a space, WIP. So something like that. Your last name, first initial, dash, shape, animation, WIP. That works for the name for the composition as well. And then the preset. See, we're on the basic tab. We'll look at those other tabs later on, but just focus on being here on this menu. Preset. So the preset that I said should be what's selected already as the default. That's what's specified in the assignment. But notice there are lots of different options to choose from, and depending on where you want to screen your work, what your goal is, what level of resolution you want for your final project, you have different options. If you are going to screen your work in a different country, there are other countries in the world that use a whole different system of technology called PAL that run the video. The technology itself runs the video at a different frame rate. So if you want to be able to have your work display on televisions in, I think, Ireland or somewhere else in Europe or Asia, then you'll have to make a version in PAL. So you'd have to have a whole new composition, make and have it set up at a different frame rate. So notice when we're on this setting, this is for the United States, and the United States has a very odd frame rate ever since the invention of color TV, where it's a fluctuating frame rate. So every so often it's going to count 28 frames per second instead of an exact 30 frames per second. So this is a standard for the technology that we use in the United States. if you go to, so notice also high definition standard is, how big is it? It's for the actual size of the image that you're looking at, the size of the frame that you're looking at is 1920 pixels by 1080. When I was back in college, back in the day, I would shoot on digital video using the NTSC settings, which was a lot lower resolution. Look at that, 720 by 480. But now with technology developed, we can use the high definition standard. So you can use this one and have a nice, much larger image made up of many more pixels. It'll look much better. Now, some people like 4K, 4,000 pixels. If I was on, notice the frame rate. Now, if I chose PAL, for example, like one of the PAL standards, see the frame rate? They have a nice, neat frame rate of 25 frames per second. But again, for this assignment, it's specified that you're going to just go ahead and use the high definition frame rate there. And then you can leave all the defaults. If you want to change the background color, you can. It's set to black. What other defaults here? We have lock aspect ratio check. That's what we want. The pixel aspect ratio refers to the shape of the pixels, and we just leave that alone. And all this is detailed in the lesson on digital video basics. Drop frame rate. That's what we want. That's just how the frames are counted, where they fluctuate to the exact frame rate fluctuation that our technology uses is just going to use a drop frame. It's not anything wrong that's doing a drop frame. It's actually more accurate that it's doing this in drop frame. Resolution set to full, that's what you want. Time code start is at 0. We're going to talk about what time code is in just a second. I'll go over it in more detail later, but basically the time code, if you look at the duration here, it's set to a duration of 30 seconds. That's what this is. The last two digits in our this is standard time code notation. The last two digits are a measurement of how many frames are counting up. The next two digits over to the left are how many seconds are counting up. So this is saying this is a 30-second duration. The next numbers over, does anyone know what the next numbers over to the left of the 30 represent?
Minutes.
Minutes, that's right. How about the next number over is how many? Hours, that's right. So if I wanted a longer duration for my timeline, I could just highlight this number, and I don't have to type in with the punctuation because it will automatically do that for me. But what I need to do is I need to put placeholders. So let's say I wanted this to be 1 minute and 15 seconds and 5 frames. For whatever reason, I wanted to be that specific. Then I would type 1 5 for 15 and 0 5 for frames. And look, see on